So hey, I'm Alex. I'm very happy that you guys are hosting me today because I'm a big fan of your podcast. And so what I do is that I founded a studio here in Cyprus with guys from a metal band Sabaton, and I'm making a tycoon about heavy music and rock festivals. Lord of Metal. So yes, that's what I do.
So I specifically wanted to talk to you because the thesis here is really fascinating. Could you walk me through what leads you to thinking this is a good idea? And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a fascinating way.
The idea is pretty simple. So we're talking about heavy music fans. I don't discern rock and metal, but basically like we're talking about the whole spectrum there. But it's dozens of millions globally. And I think that those folks have not had a game that would be a testimonial to the pinnacle of their existence. And let me explain. So festivals is basically like you're young, you're like in your 20s, you go to whichever there's like a major heavy music festival there. It is something that you remember and carry this memory with you up until like you're old and everything. It's something to tell your grandkids about. And it's the same for the bands who are performing on the stage because you get this whole like energy from the crowd and everything. So it's all about the emotion. And what basically was the foundation for a lot of metal was that we want to take this emotion and we want you to feel it a luxury of your home. Because I remember back in COVID, I was kind of like rewatching the like live footages from Wacken and from a bunch of like other heavy music festivals. And I was like, I want to get back there so much. And I want to relieve those emotions. And that, I think, was the first trigger, the first like catalyst of this process. I've been a metalhead like for all my life. I mean, literally, I love going to concerts. I love listening to metal, all kinds of. So I don't discern really. And I was thinking, what would be the highest point of experience? Like, okay, you can listen to like musical albums at the comfort of your home and everything, but what was the thing that would make it like, get it into the records for history, so to say? That would be concerts, and that would be live shows, and that would be festivals. And festivals is the biggest concentration of like, the biggest bands performing for the biggest crowd of fans. So it's the crowd energy, it's the performance and everything that kind of like brings this pinnacle to it. So that's how it came to be, honestly. I was like, and also like a bunch of like Excel sheets and, tech writers and everything, kind of like the building bricks. So we were having beers with folks from Sabaton, like, I don't know, a couple of years ago. And I was just like, guys, I figured out you have a band which has been, performing for like 25 plus years. You also host your major festival in Falun, Sabaton Open Air for like 10 years. You have all of the writers, tech writers. You have all the crazy stories that, you get to tell, like as organizers, like from tech staff, from security, from hosts and everything. That's how kind of like it was all coming together. I sat down, I probably spent like 2 nights. I just put together like a game design document, which still stands, by the way. And it all got from there. So I want to transition this emotion. I want to do this as a give back to folks who are organizing events, festivals, first and foremost. So it's basically the thing that is the game that connects fans and the bands, and it also like gives you kind of a bit of a look behind the curtain of what's happening backstage, like how you get everything built up, what kind of problems you encounter as the organizer, with a little bit of a twist and like a little bit of a power fantasy, spice sprinkled on top of it.
So there was a Swedish firm called The Outsiders, I believe, who made a game called Hellslingers. Can you remind me, like, what do you do in metal Hellslingers? Because when people
it's a rhythm shooter. It's a rhythm shooter.
So
basically,
metal, right?
It is a metal-themed rhythm shooter. So you have a metal soundtrack, and what you do is that you need to shoot at the enemies in the proper BPM or whenever it's highlighted. Think of it like Guitar Hero, but with guns. We just wanted to take a little bit of a different angle on that. And because Metal Hellsinger it's a really cool outlier. I love what the guys did. They have a stellar soundtrack. They have star-studded, like soundtrack going on for the game. I think they've also like recently opened up like a way for you to do like the UGC songs, so you can upload your own like songs there and play to them, which is awesome. But all of those games are kind of revolving around like fictional world settings, and it tweaks the power fantasy up to like 15 on a scale of 10. I wanted to bring the atmosphere of a festival And I wanted to bring the power fantasy of you being the organizer of it. And that's where we got talking with the guys from the bands. Like I've done like a big research basically, and by research I mean like me going to a bunch of like open air concerts, talking to organizers,
research to me.
It was amazing.
That's a business expense, right?
Well, it was not back then because we were not incorporated.
Okay.
So it was like my personal investment into like fine tuning the concept.
Right.
But yeah, I've been like interviewing folks who are like on the ground every day. I mean like stage techs, backstage runners. Everybody who is involved in the technicality of the process. And I was like, guys, give me the craziest story that you've ever had through your work experience. And when I figured out that this turns into a freaking encyclopedia, like you get a whole list of folklore evolving around festivals, I was like, that's what it is. So what we're doing basically is that we're doing this like, well, power fantasy, but it revolves around the festivals, bringing all those crazy stories to life. And you get to manage those. You get to manage like all of those crises, like, you know, when, I don't know, like a guitar player's hair gets on fire because one of the fires. So this is like the mildest one. Or someone's a devil. Like there's a demon, like literally, you know, like emerging from the, you know, center of the stage. What are you going to do about it? What I wanted to do is that I wanted to deliver the game to a very underserved portion of, like I said, of the populace, which is like dozens of millions of people who love heavy music in their 30s and 40s. So I figured out that, you know what, we really need to make sure that we're competing for a small portion of their time, but we really want to have that like one more gig hook. So we have like crystallized the core gameplay loop around it being like, you know, 15 minutes probably for a PC game. What we're trying to do is that we want to cater to a wider audience. We want those folks to have a very small amount of time to feel this power fantasy, to go and manage their own festivals. Well, it's basically a game you can head bang to without you losing your IQ because it's a tycoon. So you still have to make decisions. You still to be very tactical about it. And I think it kind of transcends gaming because when you think about heavy music culture, it is very easily distinguishable. When you see a heavy metal concert, you know it's a heavy metal concert. When you see a rock concert, you know it's a rock concert because of the attributes, because of the visuals, because of the aesthetics. That's what we want to transition. On the other side, people want to be part of the culture, so there's a lot of like collecting habit. When I want this vinyl, I want this T-shirt. When people are
jacket patches, I see that all the time.
Battle vests and battle. Oh my God, yes. This is like a whole this is a whole extra layer to that. That's like boss tier, loot that people are getting because I've seen like folks who basically had like a couple of decades of Wacken festival wristbands, stitched onto their battle vest. This is amazing. I mean, this is a whole like different layer of culture. But what I mean is, it's very simple. The reason why we wanted to go with premium, with PC first, and also we're delivering a lot of physical as well, is because we think that a lot of folks will just want to be part of this because they want to collect something because they are part of this culture. And that's exactly what we want to deliver. We want to be really old school when we launched the first title in our IP. We're talking about delivering the lore of the game outside of the game itself. So we had a very successful Kickstarter campaign back in 2024 where we basically showed the early concept and everything. And, people really loved it. Like the physical batches, the ones that include like the OSTs, the vinyls and everything, they got sold immediately because people want to be part of the culture and they want to have these signs or like the memorabilia for having those. And of course we're going to have that. And all in all, the game itself is basically like it lets you, let's say like you're in your 40s and you don't have the luxury of time of going like, to your next like Bloodstock or Wacken or whichever like input big festival name in there. But you want to relieve that emotion. That's what we want to deliver on.
So you said something earlier. You said wanting to be a part of the culture.
Yes.
And I would say there's two words that keep popping up as we talk to people. One is Paphos and the other is Limassol.
Okay.
And you told me you don't live in either of those places.
No, I live next to Limassol, basically.
Okay.
I live next to Limassol. Also, my office is in Limassol. I am subleasing. It's super fun, though. Since we're building the company together with folks from Sabaton, so I'm subleasing like a small portion of Sabaton's office. We're like in this, we call it like the pigeon coop. It's like a small building on top of a building where you have several desks in there. It looks really like, those old school like startup garages. So yeah, that's my office. On the other side of things, actually, the reason why we were not afraid of doing physical for the game and promising to do physical to fans and to the community which we started building was because, well, we have Sabaton's powertrain of delivery of physical merch and everything, and they're pretty big in this one. So we were pretty confident that we can deliver on a lot of things that a lot of gaming companies would not even consider of delivering. On the other thing is we have a very active Discord server there. Shout out to you guys. There is a very interesting thing happening. So people are getting together to go to gigs. Some folks ask me for an SVG of Lord of Metal's logo, and they printed T-shirts. And they went in Lord of Metal T-shirts to metal gigs, which is amazing. We're building the community early. It's because all of this culture. Look, I mean, metalheads may look scary, but they're the best people in the world. There is so much mutual support going on in there. And whenever people see that somebody's sharing their culture and is being respectful to them, you're set.
Victory.
Yes, and that's exactly what we want to cater to. We want to celebrate those people. We want to celebrate the bands who are performing to those people. And we want to celebrate the pinnacle of their experience.
Ace.